What's up, YouTube? This is the Roman Atheist here, Romanus Atheist, and welcome to the next video of my once a week release until school is over, when I can get back to 3 a week or even daily. Who knows what's going to happen in that situation? But since school is going on right now, it's not working. Sorry about last week. That was kind of not a dumb video. It was a video I enjoyed making and I loved making, but really doesn't fit on brand with the rest of the channel. Today, the video that we are going into is kind of a response to something you hear from some theists, especially ones that are much more well versed in the arguments of logical theory. When it comes up with, well, can you prove God's existence? When that topic comes up, well, someone will quite often say, well, you can't prove your own existence or the other person's existence, so it doesn't proving it doesn't matter. Basically is when that comes up, and it's generally, I don't know the best. I don't know, like, it comes up at different times. There's a lot of times it gets used. Usually it's to shut down your argument of why a proof of God is necessary, to believe in it. And it's usually framed in a way of, well, you just believe that you exist and that other people exist, and why can't you do that about a God? Pretty much is where that's going, and I might label this under stupid things Christians say to atheists, because I need to release another one of those videos. But the long and short of it is you need, in order to hold a conversation about moral and philosophical and theological arguments and conversations, discussions, all of that, you need to have a starting basis of knowledge that you both accept. And one of those many things should be that you accept that they exist and that you accept that you exist. Because if you don't do that, the discussion doesn't go anywhere. Because the discussion wouldn't have any purpose, because if you don't exist and if the other person you're talking to doesn't exist, or whatever, then holding that conversation holds no value, which is relatively important. And someone will most likely say in the comments, this is just my guess, something like, well, that's an appeal to emotion. It doesn't, that conversation doesn't necessarily hold any value to begin with, that type of stuff. But when talking about existential things, or things that are outside of like normal regular person small talk conversations, or even like, oh, what sports team is doing well, or whatever, you need to be able to, and even in those, actually, you need to be able to accept that the person you're talking to and or the person you're talking about, when it comes to like an actual real person, is a real person. Because if you don't, then what is the purpose of it? If your conversation is debating whether or not the two of us in this conversation exist, then it is relevant to the conversation. But your existence, in relation to God's existence, well, or when saying you can't prove that God exists, you can't prove that you exist, so it doesn't matter whether or not you can't prove that God exists. That's just shifting the conversation to that previous conversation where it's actually relevant. but the existence of the people you're talking to doesn't actually matter in any. Well, it matters, and it's very important, but it doesn't matter to the conversation, which is why it's, when someone brings it up in that way, it usually means they're losing some kind of an argument. So, with that extension, like, brought forward, I will say that when someone says this, it's actually quite a bit more nuanced than other stuff like, oh, you're just an atheist because you want to sin, or you actually believe in God in your heart, or you never believed in God. Those things are very simple, and you can just point out, well, that's not true. I know my experiences. You don't know me. Or, well, basically that's the type of stuff. Where when it comes to this, it's actually, well, they're not wrong that you can't prove inherent, like, you can't prove that you or the other person exists because of how the world, like, how logic facets. But I guess what you can say when someone tells you that is your existence isn't necessary. Sorry about that noise in the background. My dog's walking on hardwood floor. Um, that isn't needed for the conversation, and that's why it still falls under stupid things Christians say to atheists. And hopefully I gave a good reason, like, I hope this makes sense. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I probably still did. I apologize for that. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is probably one of the most popular series that I release on any given setup. Sorry about that again. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace.